Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome to our coffee times. Today with more book recommendations. So October is spooky season. We are all looking for that perfect horror spooky story to read, and this year I have read quite some horror books, and I wanted to recommend you some of my favorite ones, or ones that just kind of stood up to me every month, so that you would have more options for the month of October. So I have selected one book for each month, and then as the 10th book for the month of October, I'm going to let you know one of the books that I'm going to be reading this October, in case that you want to join me so we can both read the same book.
It's coffee time.
So basically I'm going to be recommending you one of the books that stood up for me in January, in February, and so on and so forth. And then the 10th one is going to be one that I still have not read, but I have high hopes for. Before we go to that 10 book list, if you love horror and if you love books and things spooky, please consider subscribing to the channel and also click the notification bell so you don't miss any more coffee times. Let's start about one of the books that I read in January that I was really excited about, and I really did enjoy it, even though towards the end some decisions were not what I wanted, but I would still recommend you guys to give it a try, and that is Suffer the Children by Joan Saul. There is here mental illness, child abuse, animal murder. So a lot of trigger warnings for this one, but we are following a family that are living in this house, and they have two kids, and one of the girls, she doesn't speak because after a traumatic event she just stopped speaking, and that kind of story already lures me in. And also there is this kind of legend surrounding this family that involves a cave and the woods, and the kids in town are not allowed to go anywhere near those places. So we're following the family dynamics, and we're following the kids as they make discoveries that are going to put them and the other kids in town in danger. Now, this is also a book that has one of the worst parenting I ever seen in a book, but the book was really creepy, and I really loved to discover bit by bit the whole kind of legend surrounding the family, the cave and the woods, and what happened. It is very slow paced at the beginning though, so you're gonna have to stick with it for a little bit until the story really gets going. But if you're interested in this type of creepy stories involving children and families with dark secrets, this might be for you. In February, I read Take the Long Way Home by Brian Keene. This is a novella, and I absolutely loved it. This is a perfect horror story about what would happen if the end of the world, the apocalypse, would just happen right now. And it happens, and we follow a lot of different characters that are basically facing the idea that this is actually the end of the world. I really love the reflection that was done on the different perspectives of different characters and what they would do in this type of situation. It was just a novella, but it was really intense, and I really loved it. So if you're interested in apocalyptic stories, I would definitely recommend you to pick this one up. And also, since it is a short story, you can squeeze it in the month of October. In March, I read Hollow by Rhonda Parrish, and this is a YA story, so I wanted to include it here so that you guys have a YA option in case you don't want to read adult horror. So this story was the perfect kind of rainy, cozy moment. It is about this girl that she lost her brother in an accident, and she's really having trouble to move on. And one day, while she is kind of investigating an abandoned hospital that has a lot of stories and legends told about it, while she's investigating inside the building, she finds this old camera. She takes it home, and when she makes pictures of people with a camera, what she doesn't know is that she's not only taking their picture, she's also taking their soul. And this was like the perfect, nice, creepy, slow story. So if you love this kind of premise, definitely give it a go. It was not like mind-blowing, but I just really enjoyed the story and the character development that I got from this book. And I really loved the idea, you know, of the camera being like this kind of hunted object. I'm a sucker for hunted objects stories. So yeah, definitely give it a shot if you're interested in the story. In the month of April, I read another novella that I really loved, and that is The Overbridge by Deep Arya. And this one is the perfect, also atmospheric story for the winter season. We are following a bunch of strangers that one day they just wake up inside of their cars on the bridge while they were driving, and at some point they fell asleep. They don't know how it happened, but now they're awake again, and they are surrounded by this mysterious fog. And this is like a supernatural tale about what is inside of that fog, what is coming for them, what is out there. And we follow a bunch of really different characters as well that react differently to the situation. I really loved it. I kind of wish I would have had more pages to see more and more of the backstory of the characters that we get to see in the novella. But this is like the perfect tale for winter as well, and it's also short, so another one that you can just squeeze in the month of October. And if you're somebody that you are more interested in kind of thrillers, I have something for you. I have The Familiar Dark by Amy Engel. This book was so different from what I was expecting, but it was positively good. So we're following the story of a woman that basically has lost everything. Somebody has killed her daughter, and the police is not really finding the murderer, and she is so pissed. She will do anything to find whoever did this to her daughter, so she starts to do an investigation herself. However, this book is more than that. It is also an exploration of family relationships, and that you cannot choose who your family is, who you are related to. It explores a lot of different dark topics, and so it was kind of like a really slow burn thriller, kind of really focused a little bit on family drama and family relationships, but it was just so good, and it definitely ended with a bang, and I really loved it. Moving on, I'm here again to recommend you Kill Creek by Scott Thomas, because what better time to read this book than October. This is an ode to horror fans, people that love horror like me, and we're following a bunch of horror authors that, you know, are really different from each other. Like, they write different horror genres and they're different ages, and they all are invited to this supposedly haunted house to give an interview there, and they decide to go to kind of help boost their careers, and they think it's all good, but when they leave the house, apparently something has changed and their lives start changing, and they will have to go back to the house to make some dark, gruesome discoveries. So this book has so many different horror genres in it, and it is just so entertaining, engaging. The character development is great. You really feel like you know these characters, and you feel like you're hanging out there with them, like you're just living it through them. Like, the character development in this book is fantastic, and the knowledge of horror, and it's just great. Like, please pick it up. Okay, so this is great if you're looking for a good horror book for the month of October that combines different genres. Oh, and in July I have another one of my new faves, and that is The Forgotten Island by David Sundgren. And this was another one actually that combines different horror genres, and it was so much fun. Trigger warnings though for rape attempt, for suicide attempt and self-harm, apart from, you know, the gore and everything you can expect from a horror story. So we are in an island where they are trying to build a new hotel, a new residence for tourists, and while they're digging in the ground, they discover this kind of cave, and let's just say something escapes from that cave, and most of the workers end up dying. So they just left the island. Nobody has ever went to that island again because it is believed to be cursed. 10 years later, we have two sisters that decide to travel to an island nearby, and they're trying to kind of reconnect and have some time out from life, and they end up going to a party. From the party, they end up in a boat, and what do you know, they end up in the cursed island. Of course they do. And so that is where our story really picks up, and it is fantastic. I loved every little bit of it. It has everything you would want in a book. It has kind of like different horror genres. I'm just trying not to spoil anything really hard but it's one of those that when you think you've already seen everything and you think, you know, this is like the peak of the story, then something else comes around the corner and slaps you in the face and you're like, damn, another thing. And I don't know, it was just like so much fun, like to the very last page, Moving on with a novella that actually again combines different things that I love and that is The Festering Ones by S.H. Cooper. We have here disappearances, investigation, we have some slasher, we have some cult, we have some creature feature. Everything is in this small novella, and my only critique to this novella actually was that I wish this would have been like a bigger book so that I would get more of it, because it was so good. So we're following the story of a girl that after losing her mother to an illness, she's trying to kind of hang out more with her dad, and she goes with him hunting, and that is when her dad is being taken away by this woman that has spider legs for arms. And basically the people in town start telling her that it's just her memory, you know, it's just her mind that is trying to deal with the traumatic event. So they're basically trying to convince her that she didn't see what she actually saw, but she persists in trying to figure out what happened to her dad, and she starts investigating and digging deeper, and that takes her somewhere else, and she discovers a cult. And I don't know, it was just such a wild ride, and the ending was like everything I could have ever wanted from this book. Like I said, I loved it so much that my only complaint is that it was too short. In this month of September, I read Carnage by Joshua Winning and Elliot Arthur Cross, and this is another one that was short, but it was so good, and especially good if you're somebody that loves 80s slashers. If you do, this is a book you have to check out. We are following a group of teens that are being sent to this camp Genesis, and it is a camp that it is designed to turn homosexuals straight, which is disgusting. The idea that these camps ever existed, I really hope they don't exist anymore. And so this has LGBT representation. So we follow different characters, females and males, that are in this camp, and you get to see a little bit of their background stories and how they ended up in the camp. But sadly, going to this camp, the camp alone is not just their only problem. It is also that there seems to be a killer on the loose, so they have to try to stop it before it kills everybody in the camp. The book definitely gave me Friday the 13th vibes, because it's also like on a camp, and I don't know, it was just great. I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for some horror with LGBTQ character representation, this one is for you. And the last book that I'm going to mention is the one that I'm going to be reading this October, and it is based on Halloween morning. So I just wanted to mention this one in case somebody is looking for a book that really takes place on Halloween. to read this October. And also if you read it, it will be great because we will be reading it at the same time, so we can, you know, chit chat about it in my wrap up and talk about what we liked or disliked about the book. So hopefully you have access to it if you decide to pick it up. And that is The Animal Hour by Andrew Klavan. I believe it follows different stories, at least 2 different stories, and one of them is this woman that wakes up one day, the Halloween morning. She goes to work and she finds out that people do not recognize her, and like as if she would have been erased from the earth, and she gets like a very mysterious message telling her that something's gonna happen at the animal hour. And then there is this other guy that is looking for his brother that has disappeared, and he ends up finding the mutilated body of a young woman. Great. Good times. So all I know is that this takes place on Halloween day and that it follows different characters. So I have been keeping this one on my shelves for the month of October because I knew it was perfect for it, and I'm really intrigued about it. So if you're also intrigued and you want to pick it up, then let me know in the comments down below, and I will definitely post on Twitter when I start reading it, so you guys know in case you decide to pick it up as well, so you know when I start myself. Alright you guys, so these are 10 books that you can still add to your October TBR pile if you're looking for some horror. I wanted to mention some of the newest ones that I have read and some that I have enjoyed or that I thought were special in one way or another, to give you options. There's also some novellas here so that they are shorter. So I really hope that you found this video useful. Let me know, what are you going to be reading this Halloween? If there is any book that take place on Halloween day, night, whatever, around that time, let me know in the comments down below. I'm always looking for some that are exactly taking place on Halloween to add to my endless TBR pile, but this is why we're here, just to add more books to our TBR pile. So I really hope that you enjoyed the video, you guys. If you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up for support. If you want to follow me on the social media, the links as always are down below, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!